Hey everyone, Pastor Bruce here with our memory verse for Gospel for Life, I think from session 4, I believe. And it is Galatians 2:20. Let me get my pen up here, Galatians 2:20. So you can follow along if you'd like, verse 20. And it goes like this: I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. So here's our verse that we're focusing on. And again, I just want to talk through how I would approach this verse and break it down for memorization and that kind of thing. So the first thing I'm looking for, I'm taking the whole thing and wanting to break it down into pieces, smaller and smaller pieces, in order to put those pieces together so I can understand them and be able to memorize those pieces one piece at a time. So I'm seeing right off periods here, here, and here. So I've got 3 sentences. I have been crucified with Christ. There's the first idea. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself up for me. So notice this last sentence, who loved me and gave himself for me. So this is a relative pronoun. And this relative pronoun is talking about the Son of God. So I live by faith in the Son of God. Well, tell me more about this Son of God. Okay. The Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. Do you see how these relative clauses are so powerful? They seem like they're just, tacked on, especially in Paul's writings. He's doing this all the time, adding these relative clauses, and they don't seem to be relevant to the main message. But they are extremely relevant because, again, we're seeing what is true here, and we can't miss the fact that Paul is expanding on the fact that I live by faith in the Son of God and reminding us that it's the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. It's remarkable when you begin to take it in, when you sit back and think about it, meditate on it, right? It's amazing that the Son of God would do this. So here we go. I have been crucified with Christ. So crucified here, let's give me a pen back up. Crucified seems similar to verse 19. For through the law, I died to the law. So this crucified, I think, could be related to this idea that I died to the law. And the context here is, Paul going after Peter, pulling away from the Gentiles while he was sitting there eating. When the Judaizers came, who said, you need faith in Christ, but you need the law too. Don't give up the law. You need to do the law as well as have faith in Christ in order to be justified. And Paul is saying, no. You cannot have both. It's only the gospel, only Christ crucified, and you're receiving that by faith, that justifies. not your works of the law. So that's what he's saying in this context. And so I have been crucified with Christ. In other words, my old life, my old self that's oriented toward me, or that even wants to be justified by all the good things that I do, is put to death. I died. This is past tense. It is something that happened to me in the past. I have been crucified with Christ. This is an action that took place in the past, and yet I'm standing in the current state of this truth. I have been crucified with Christ. That is the reality. That's what's real. That's what's true. And he goes on, it is no longer I who live. This old man, this old life, this self-oriented life, this life that has to prove itself, thinks it has to prove itself to God to be accepted, no longer lives. It is no longer I who live, this self-oriented person. I don't live, but it is Christ who lives in me. It is Christ who lives in me to will and to do for his good pleasure. Christ lives in me. And the life that I now live in the flesh, so there is a part of me that is living. There is a part that has died, and there is a part that is living. This new life, right? This new life, this life that's now in the flesh, having been saved by Christ, this life that I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God. I live by faith in the Son of God. So I no longer am looking to myself for orientation. Christ is the one I am directed to. He is the one my eyes are on. He is the one my life is oriented towards. So I live by faith in the Son of God. He is the one that I am seeking and that is my love and my life, is my treasure. That's where I want to go. I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life that I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. So this whole verse here is telling me what is true. And certainly what is true of Paul, and most of which is true of us as long as we are doing this. The life that I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God. This is the real call, the application for you and me, right? These things are all true. And this could be true of us. The question is it true of us? Do we live by faith in the Son of God? And do we trust him with the circumstances of our life? Do we believe that he is walking with us every step of the way as we walk through the valley of the shadow of death? Do we believe that he will preserve us, that he will save us, that he will bring us all the way home? Do we believe that? Do we believe that the life that we now live in the flesh, do we live it by faith in the Son of God? Are we oriented toward him? Are we living for him? We should, because he loves me. And I know he loves me because he sacrificed his very life for me so I can trust in him. Well, I hope as you reflect on this week, spend some time thinking about this verse, and look back at the context here in what Paul's argument is, because this is right in the middle of an argument that Paul is making about not relying on the law to be justified, but living by faith. So look at the context here, and then just take each part and begin to work on it, and to see the truth that is here, the reality that is here, and allow that reality to speak to your heart, especially as your mind is swirling around with all the injustice of the day and the craziness of the day and the chaoticness of our culture and our nation right now. Let this truth ground you. I don't know about you, but I find that my mind, in those moments where I'm not working on a project, where I'm thinking about a particular thing, that my mind always seems to go in a bad direction. You know, how it usually ends up being a pity party, and it's a poor me situation. And that only drives me to become more anxious, more depressed, instead of saying, I have been crucified with Christ. Stop your crazy thinking. It's no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. Christ lives in me. So the life that I now live, I live by faith in the Son of God. Let that drive your thinking as you go through your week this week. Well, I hope you're encouraged by that, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.